4 friends entered the woods on a Friday afternoon. By Sunday morning, only 3 came back. But that's not the strange part. The strange part is that all 3 of them swear there were only 3 people on the trip. Let me explain. It started with a group of college friends who wanted one last camping trip before summer ended. Ethan, Marcus, Ryan, and Caleb. They had known each other for years. They packed 2 tents, enough food for the weekend, flashlights, a camera, and drove several hours north toward a remote stretch of forest. The place wasn't an official campground. Marcus had found it online. An old hiking trail, abandoned years ago after flooding, destroyed most of the access road. No bathrooms, no phone signal, and according to Marcus, no other campers. They thought that sounded perfect. By the time they parked, the sun was already beginning to disappear behind the trees. They grabbed their backpacks and started walking. The deeper they went, the quieter the forest became. At first, they joked about it. Ryan even stopped and shouted into the trees. Nothing answered, not even birds. After nearly an hour, they found a clearing beside a narrow stream. They set up their tents, gathered wood, and started a fire. For a while, everything was normal. They ate, they laughed. They told embarrassing stories about each other. Caleb took pictures with the old camera he'd brought with him. Then sometime after midnight, Ethan noticed something beyond the firelight. Between 2 trees stood a person, too far away to see clearly, just a dark silhouette. Ethan stopped talking. "Do you guys see that?" Everyone looked. The figure didn't move. Marcus grabbed his flashlight and aimed it toward the trees. The beam hit empty forest. Nobody was there. Ryan laughed. "You've been listening to too many scary stories." But Ethan wasn't laughing, because just before the flashlight reached the trees, he could have sworn the figure stepped behind one of them. They eventually went to bed. Ethan lay awake listening to the forest. Around 2 in the morning, he heard footsteps outside the tent. Slow, careful, crunching through the leaves. He whispered Marcus's name. No answer. The footsteps circled the tent once, then stopped directly outside. Ethan held his breath. A shadow appeared against the fabric. Human-shaped, completely still. Then came a whisper. "Ethan!" His blood went cold. It sounded exactly like Caleb. Ethan reached across the tent. Caleb wasn't there. His sleeping bag was empty. Ethan immediately unzipped the tent and stumbled outside. "Caleb?" The campsite was empty. The fire had almost burned out. Marcus and Ryan rushed from the other tent. "What's wrong?" "Caleb's gone." They searched around the campsite. No Caleb. His backpack was still there. His shoes were beside the tent. Even his camera was sitting near the fire. Then Marcus found footprints, bare footprints. They started beside Caleb's tent and disappeared into the forest. The 3 grabbed their flashlights and followed. The footprints continued deeper between the trees. Caleb's name echoed through the forest as they shouted for him. No response. Eventually, the footprints stopped. Not gradually. They simply ended in the middle of the trail. Ethan swept his flashlight around. That's when Ryan whispered, "Guys!" High above them, something moved between the branches. They aimed their lights upward. Nothing. Then Caleb screamed somewhere far behind them. They ran. Branches struck their faces as they raced toward the sound. "Caleb!" Another scream. Closer. They reached a second clearing, and there he was. Caleb stood with his back toward them, barefoot, completely motionless. Ethan started toward him. "Caleb?" Marcus grabbed his arm. "Wait." Something was wrong. Caleb's head was tilted slightly to one side. His arms hung unnaturally still. Then he spoke. "You shouldn't have followed me." Ethan froze. The voice wasn't Caleb's. The thing turned around. Their flashlights went out. All 3, at exactly the same time. They ran. Nobody remembers how long. They just remember trees, darkness, and something running behind them. Not footsteps, something faster. By sunrise, the 3 stumbled onto the abandoned access road. Their clothes were torn. Their hands were bleeding. But they didn't stop until they reached the car. Police searched the forest later that morning. They found the campsite, the tents, the backpacks, Caleb's shoes, and his camera. But Caleb was gone. Search teams spent 6 days looking for him. Nothing, no body, no clothing, no footprints. Eventually, the search was called off. Then the police developed the photographs from Caleb's camera. Most were normal. The drive there, the trail, the campsite, the 4 friends standing beside the fire. But the final photograph was different. It had been taken sometime after midnight, from deep inside the forest. The photograph showed the campsite from between the trees. Ethan, Marcus, and Ryan were sitting around the fire. Caleb was standing behind them, smiling at the camera. But Caleb couldn't have taken that photograph, because the camera was more than 50 feet away, in the woods. Investigators questioned the three friends again. That's when things became even stranger. Ethan looked confused when police mentioned Caleb. "Who's Caleb?" Marcus didn't recognize the name either. Neither did Ryan. Police showed them photographs of all four friends. The three stared at Caleb as though they had never seen him before. They insisted only 3 people had gone camping that weekend. Police contacted their families. Caleb's parents remembered him. His professors remembered him. His classmates remembered him. But the 3 people who had known him best didn't. Years passed. The case went cold. Then on the 10th anniversary of Caleb's disappearance, Ethan received an envelope. There was no return address. Inside was a single photograph. Ethan standing alone outside his house, taken from across the street. On the back, someone had written, "You left me in the woods." Ethan called Marcus immediately. Marcus didn't answer. He called Ryan. No answer. That night, Ethan reported hearing footsteps outside his bedroom window. Slow, careful, circling the house. At 2:13 in the morning, his security camera stopped recording. Ethan disappeared that night. Police found his front door unlocked. His phone was on the kitchen table. His shoes were beside the door. And on the floor of his bedroom were bare footprints. They started beside his bed, crossed the room, and ended at the wall. Ethan was never found. Marcus and Ryan refused to speak publicly about what happened. But there is one detail investigators never released. One detail found on Ethan's recovered security camera. Seconds before the recording stopped, a man appeared across the street, barefoot, completely still, watching Ethan's house. And according to the detective who saw the footage, the man looked exactly like Caleb, except Caleb hadn't aged a day.